I can only think of possibly 4 or 5 instances that we didn't have anti-aircraft or some kind of holes in the airplane.
Denny, where were you born and raised?
Yeah, Fargo, North Dakota, where I was born. And my dad was a motorcycle cop at that time. And I was raised in Minnesota.
Was there history of military service in your family?
Yeah, only for a year or so before I went in, because we had 4 brothers. I had 3 brothers. There was 4 of us. All four of us went into service, but the 4th one, he was too young to make World War II. But all 4 of us were in the service. I didn't go in till probably 42, because I signed up for the Air Corps for the cadets, and they had a lot of people waiting, so it took quite a while before I went into.
So you had 2 brothers that were pre-Pearl Harbor.
Yep, one was a first lieutenant, one was a sergeant. Both of them got wounded. The one in New Guinea got 2 Purple Hearts. The one in Italy, he got wounded pretty bad. And
Okay.
then I got 2 Purple Hearts out of England, is where I was
Right.
based.
Why did you join the service?
Pardon?
Why did you join the service?
Oh, everybody was more or less obligated, and everybody I knew was pretty happy to go in the service and do our thing. It
Okay.
wasn't quite so later on in other battles.
Right. Why did you join the Army Air Corps?
I'd ridden in an airplane for one of the barnstormers. It cost $1 for the trip, and one time, and I wanted to be in the Air Corps.
Okay. Where did you do your flight training?
All of it in Texas, but Texas produced a lot of flyers, and had first I took my first training there, and then but all of it was in Texas.
Okay. You were originally signed to a B-24 crew. What was it like flying a massive plane like the B-24?
Well, it was a bit of a pain in the ass. B-24 was a tough one, but it seemed like in a matter of weeks everybody got used to it. But we did have quite a lot of accidents in training, because we were all young, 21 years old, 20, 21, and so forth. So, but we didn't really know the value of a B-24 against a B-17. In our opinion, it wasn't even equal. But we went into B-24s, flew 11 missions, got changed, a 3-day transition period from a B-24 to a B-17, and thank God for that, or I probably wouldn't be here.
Well, they do call them flying coffins.
Huh?
They do call the B-24 a flying coffin.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons it wasn't the great airplane.
You were both qualified as a pilot and bombardier. Which did you do more often?
I happened to take a lot of training as a bombardier, so about half the time I flew the airplane, about half the time I was the bombardier. And I hit a lot of targets. I know 2 of them, we killed 3,000 Germans in each one of them. That was particularly good. I pretty well remember all that. Now I cannot remember the day it is, but I can remember all that.
How common was it for a flight crew like yourself to be double qualified?
I don't know. I don't know of anybody else that did.
Huh.
I really don't. It just happened to be. I was a good bombardier because I hit a lot of missions. I can tell you what some of them were. Yep. And we got rewards for them all the time of some kind of a decoration.
So when you flew B-24s and B-17s, did you fly with the same crew?
The same.
When you did the transition from B-24s to B-17s, did you fly with the same crew?
B-24 first for 11 missions.
Okay.
They changed us one day. 3 days later, we were on a mission with a B-17.
But were you flying with the same men?
Same crew. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me about those men.
Oh my God, everyone was different, and there was a tremendous amount of flak, anti-aircraft. We did have a few cases of fighters coming through, and so forth, but other than that, the anti-aircraft was awful. Sometimes it was 100 miles of it.
But were your crew, the men you flew with, would you consider them brothers? Would you consider them friends?
We were a close bunch. As a matter of fact, our first 8 or 10 missions were kind of a thrill, and we were excited. But then we got real serious about it. And as the new ones come in, as we lost airplanes, a new crew would come in and stay with us in the Nissen hut is what we stayed in. And we didn't spend hardly any time with them. We just kind of ignored them from then on.
Because they were replacements.
Huh?
They were replacements.
They were replacements for people that were lost. And we just didn't associate with hardly anybody except the original ones that were hanged in there for the whole 30 missions, see. I was a lead crew, and we had to fly 30 missions. And if you're a wing crew, you flew 25. You went back to the States. We were a brand new outfit, a brand new airport over in England when we got there. And we went over in early 44. We flew through South America, across Africa, and up there. And we were the first ones there.
Of B-17, I do believe it's 11 crew members?
Well, it depended. If it had a radar, which we did, or what they called a Mickey or something, we did have a radar operator.
So you had 12.
But normally it's 10. Later
it's 10.
on, they turned them to 9.
Did you lose any of those 9 or 10 men of the original?
Did I what?
Lose any of the original 9 or 10 men
No.
of the crew?
Nope. The strange part of it was I was the only guy that got wounded, and wounded twice, on our airplane. Yep.
When did you get to England?
About the 1st of April, I would say, right around there. We stayed in Africa quite a while because they had a little problem with the Germans. Yeah.
Your first mission was in early May of 44.
6th of May, yep.
What was your first bombing run like?
Liège, Belgium. And that was kind of a screwed up deal, but because we were brand new. As a matter of fact, there was 400 and some guys in 39 B-24s went on this mission. Only one of them had ever been across the English Channel in his entire life. So you could kind of think about that. And it was happened to be Colonel Bernie Lay, who was our commanding officer and who wrote the book 12 O'Clock High and made the movie. That was our commanding officer. And on the 3rd mission, we lost Bernie Lay. Well, he got shot down. He ended up alive. He got shot down right alongside of me. I was in third position, and all of a sudden, they screwed up. He was a lieutenant colonel. And somehow or another, they got off track. This is the third mission. And we flew right over an airport in France with 20-some anti-aircraft guns there. And the first blast took the lead, the second lead, and I was the third lead flying. And they went down, and Bernie and the co-pilot, they bailed out. And then we lost another one out of one of the other squadrons. But anyway, they bailed out, and Colonel Bernie Lay and another guy, the co-pilot, lived, and they eventually walked their way. This was before D-Day, but they walked their way after D-Day, cross country, and finally got, with the help of our people and so forth, finally got back.
So when you were flying B-24s, before you went to England, you were flying out of Africa doing the North African campaign.
Well, in Africa, the only time I was in Africa until I became a guide and outfitter was flying a B-24 to South America and across to Dakar, Africa, and back up to England.
Okay.
And then it's many years after that before I was a guide and outfitter flying down in lower part of Africa.
How did your expectations of combat compare to the real thing?
Well, they were pretty damn vicious, believe me. And I saw a lot of airplanes go down, and I can only think of possibly 4 or 5 instances that we didn't have anti-aircraft or some kind of holes in the airplane from anti-aircraft and from fighters. I can only think of probably 3 or 4 instances. So, and then the area that we'd fly to, the targets, some were much more important, and sometimes you had 100 miles to go through of solid anti-aircraft.
Which leads,
start to finish.
What kind of damage did German flak do to the airplane?
Well, all the fighters would leave. When the flak come in, this big, maybe 100 miles, 80 miles of flak before you got to the target, and afterwards, all the fighters would leave, Germans and Americans, and they'd meet us at the other end. So all we had to, and the anti-aircraft was the worst of any damage they could do. It blocked the sun out at times. There was so much of it. And it's pretty damaging stuff. So like I say, we had holes in the airplane, all but 3 to 5 flights of the 30. But the last flight was the worst. We had over 500 holes in a brand new B-17. Flat tire, 2 engines out, you name it. And I was shot. I still got a piece in my arm. I got 13 pieces in my arm here.
Is there anything as a pilot of a B-17 to get around or above the flak?
No, absolutely none. None whatsoever.
Okay.
88 millimeters, and they could go to 35, 40,000 feet. Yeah. There's no way to get away from it.
I have a note here that your airplane was called Problem Child.
That was one of 4.
One of 4.
And I was the painter of the pictures on half a dozen airplanes. There was a famous painter that made the Problem Child. What the hell was his name? But anyway, they were all kind of exotic women, hanging on there and so forth. And it sometimes took me a couple of weeks to get a picture painted 12 feet long, because it would wash out. Some of my chalk I put on it washed out and everything. But yeah, we had four different airplanes in my 30 missions.
What were your orders on the morning of D-Day?
Well, the first thing they done, we got a surprise for you. They pulled the thing up in the air so you could see what the hell was going on. And it was finally D-Day. Everybody got up, cheered, and just had a grand time. And but as a lead crew, we had a thing about 2-3 o'clock in the morning they'd go to, so we knew about it an hour or two before everybody else did. Then they had the main thing, and that was it. And we ended up only making one mission with the four-engine airplane on D-Day. 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that, we come over the beaches and bomb Le Sioux, a town of Le Sioux. We wiped it out.
Okay. How effective on the morning of D-Day, you're flying over the beaches, you're going into France. How effective was that mission?
Which one?
The morning of D-Day.
Oh, yeah, we annihilated the place. Because I've been there a couple of times since. But we just about flattened this place of Le Sioux. That's where German headquarters were and so forth. And it was about 30 miles from the beaches where it was. And but that's the only mission. We were supposed to make possibly 2 with a 4-engine airplane. And the fighters would make 3 or 4 during that day, but we ended up with just 1.
Tell us about the mission for which you received the Distinguished Flying Cross as you attacked a Tiger tank factory.
Oh, we had totally annihilated it. It was in the northern part of Germany, and it was an important target, and we absolutely totaled it. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of resistance during that run?
I don't remember a lot of resistance and a lot of firepower at that one. I just know that we ended up hitting it right square in the middle.
You also had 2 very close calls and were wounded twice during missions. Please tell us about those, and you managed to keep doing your job despite being injured.
Well, on the 27th mission, we were to, a huge town in the Ruhr Valley, and a big Ford motor plant. And I was the bombardier then, and as we got close to it, I got hit here down into my lower jaw and got knocked off of the seat back about 10 feet. And it was bleeding like hell. I crawled back up and got back in there and got lined up, and we hit it right square in the nose. But I remember my crew up there, the flight engineer and it was a radio guy. They were laying on the floor on some bulletproof shit that we'd laid down there. There's crawled up in there, and I turned around and I had a handful of blood, and I threw it back like that, and it went clear across their faces, and they ducked down more than ever. But anyway, we hit the target around the button.
And you have a second Purple Heart.
That was my last mission. I got it the 27th, and my last is when I got shot in the arm. I had 13 pieces in my right arm, and that was at Ludwigshafen, Germany, right in the middle of the Ruhr Valley. And we hit it dead center. And that's when Colonel Bernie Lay, the guy that wrote 12 O'Clock High, he was our commanding officer. That's when he called me from the hospital and then came over to see him about flying some more missions. That's when I said, "Fuck you, Bernie." Yeah.
How many missions total?
30. It's a long time getting there, too, I'll tell you. As a lead crew, you'd leave our outfit, maybe go to northern England and get a radar dome put in, or do something, change the airplane. So it might be 10 days, 2 weeks, you wouldn't fly a mission. So it took me about 8 months to finish my missions.
What did you and your crew do during your downtime?
Oh, I can't remember. There's all kinds of stuff going on. You know, about the middle of it, they sent us on a leave. They call it a flak leave, up in northern England, someplace where they have all the boats and entertainment and stuff like that. So,
how were your interactions with the British civilians?
Everything I know was great. It really was.
You have.
I think we bothered the English soldiers a little bit because we were there and they were someplace else.
You have 2 distinguished flying crosses. How did you get the first one?
The first one?
Yep.
I think they gave it to me on the 27th mission when we bombed. We bombed a big truck factory and tanks in the Ruhr Valley. I forget the name of the big town, but we annihilated it.
So
and I know when we got back from it, the boys that picked us up at the airplane for briefing after they carried me back on top of their shoulders all the way back to the headquarters to kind of congratulate me for hitting it.
So on that 27th mission, you received a Purple Heart and a Distinguished Flying Cross. Because you got hit in the jaw.
Yeah. Purple Heart just happened because I got hit in the face, but because we made a good mission, they gave me the...
Now, in my notes, you were recommended for a Silver Star, but then we're given a Distinguished Flying Cross.
Well, let's see, that was somewhere in there. I think it was the last mission. I was recommended for the Silver Star, and the boys come up with one, but then they came back and decided that there was, I remember the message came back from headquarters, and the general's name, I'm trying to think right now. He said we had to run on Silver Stars, give the lieutenant another Distinguished Flying Cross. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
In my notes here, you have 4 Air Medals and 4 Bronze Stars.
Some of those you got for making at 5 missions. You got one.
An Air Medal.
Yeah, and then if you got something else like a DFC, they wouldn't give you the silver or that particular one. Then, yeah. Hey.
And how did you get your Bronze Stars?
Well, you kind of didn't automatically get them, but you were successful in making 5 or 10 runs. I forget exactly what it was. Yeah.
Now, you received, just a few years ago, the French Legion of Honor. Can you tell me about that?
That was a little surprise, but they gave it to me in San Francisco. they got a big thing over there, and there was a lot of people there. And anyway, that's where I got that.
Back to the French Legion of Honor. What does that mean to you, and what does it mean overall?
I really don't know, but I know they made a big thing of it, and you were lucky to get it. There was 4 of us got it at that time. I was the only flyer or airplane guy, but we went over to the French embassy. There were a lot of people there. I don't know who the hell all of them were, but they gave us plenty of drinks and so forth. It's their headquarters in San Francisco. Yeah, that comes as a bit of a surprise.
When you think about your service in the Army Air Corps during World War II, what are you most proud of?
What?
What are you most proud of for your service in World War II?
What did I what?
What are you most proud of?
Oh, I see. My missions, I would certainly say. Yeah, because I didn't falter on any of them. I didn't crap out. I didn't fall down on the ground or anything else. I even got shot and went back and run it. So.
We had talked earlier.
But I tell you, they come awful slow from 10 on. We used to mark them on the Nissen wall there, the place we were living, and put one in. It was awful slow putting 40 of them or 30 of them on there, I'll tell you.
We were talking earlier, and you actually went to P51 training, P51 Mustangs.
Yeah, I was going into P51. I decided they were the ones that kept track of us up there for sure. So, yeah, I made one flight in the 51, and that was it, and decided not to go. It was about 100 of us wanted to go back in the 51s, and only 5 of us decided to go. And from what I understand, they send that bunch back to Washington, D.C. I didn't even know they had 51 flights back there. But anyway, we changed our mind.
And in closing, Denny, what do you want Americans to remember about the generation that fought and won World War II?
Well, I think everybody was great. I never had anybody complain about anything or say anything negative whatsoever. Now, I've always, of course, we had really no contact for decades, and until near the end when they finally decided that there was different D-Days coming up, and they were more important than all the wars that they ever had since. But I never saw anybody negative at all about it. None. No.
I want to add one last question. What would you tell these younger generations about serving this country?
Boy, I don't know what the hell they'd listen for, I'll tell you for sure. I don't think you could get a volunteer out of 50 of them, unless they were a criminal or something, which they are taking a lot of criminals into the military, because it's a better out than living their normal life. But no, I couldn't convince any of them to go into the military.
Denny, thank you very much for this interview.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.